Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is July 10th, 2024. That is just about 4.5 years of Torah every single day, of finding each other every single day. There is such power in having made friends from all over the world. Thank you, Penny. 1,090 broadcasts. To know that we find each other, that we grow together, that we learn Torah, that people like Safta Shush and people like the Westchester Jewish Council for Refugees and Immigrants is here. It makes me so happy that my son Micah is here. Hi, love. So good to see you. Adele, good to see you too. Michelle, welcome. Catherine, welcoming you from Australia. Julie-Ann, Adrian, Siona, and Amy, Boker Tov. Good to see you. Deborah, sending love to San Francisco. Anya and Arlene, Debbie and Joyce, Boker Tov, friends. Yes, there's a heat wave here in New York and elsewhere in the world. Please, friends, stay in the shade, stay hydrated, take good care of yourselves. Judy, yes, it is day 278 since October 7th, and there's a lot for us to continue talking about and working toward. Let's take a breath as we greet each other as we have 1,090 times, and let's learn together. Let's be good together. Susie, it's good to see you. Stan and Diane, Amy and Fabrice. Fabrice, sorry you have either COVID or the flu. You're sick at home in Paris. At least you're in Paris, but I'm so sorry that you're ill. I'm sending you healing. Natalie and Rabbi Cantarisa, welcome back. Barbara and Cecile, Julie and Sandy, Blair, good to see you. Linda and Shari, good to see you. Valerie and Natalia, let's see who else is here and we'll get started. Minna and Linda, hi Deborah. All right, let's take a breath. Here we go. All right, friends, it's good to see all of you. Hope that you and yours are safe and well. Let's see, moving that. Okay. We have been studying Parshat Chukat now for a few days. There are a lot of ways into the Torah portion, but I wanted to highlight one by Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. Let me set the tone. If you remember, Chukat begins with the rules of the Para Aduma, the red heifer. When someone has come into contact with the dead, came across a dead body, or was in a room or a building, they became Tameh. Now, Tameh is mistranslated many, many times by many, many people in many, many books. Tameh has been mistranslated as unclean or impure, but actually Tameh means that the person who is Tameh, it's a status a ritual status, not a moral status, cannot come close to the divine. Tameh means can't connect through divine service right now. It's a temporary state. Tum'ah, what has been mistranslated as impurity, um, means a temporary state of not being able to connect to the divine. The opposite of that is tahor, tahara, which means, again mistranslated, purity. And it means you can connect to God. Now, when someone came into contact with a dead person, that meant, especially in a ritual sacrifice based community, we do not have place for them. They can't be close to the divine. When would that matter? That would matter when it came to offering sacrifices of thanksgiving or guilt, or coming close to the priest, or if you were a priest and you became tameh, then you weren't able to do your work, and then the whole community suffers. And so tum'ah is not an individual concern, it's a communal one. And if you think that that is outdated, well, fine. But in fact, all of us are connected in this way to tum'ah, especially the tum'ah associated with death. How so? Even if you're very careful, and I have friends who are very careful about this, friends whose background, whose lineage is that they're Kohanim, that they can trace their ancestry, theoretically, to Aaron the high priest. They would get the first aliyah. There would be any number of honors that come their way in traditional Jewish settings. But even if you're very careful, if you've ever been to a hospital, most likely you are tameh mate. Why? Why are you contaminated, which is again a mistranslation, by ritual impurity connected with a dead body? Because if you've ever been to a hospital, most likely there has been someone who has died. Please God, not often. It's sad when it happens, of course. But in the bottom of most hospitals, there is a morgue, because this does happen. And according to tradition, the vertical column above where someone who has died, where their body is, that is all contaminated. It's all touched by tum'ah, which means all of us are. So the idea that some of us would be tameh, some of us would be tahor, some of us would be able to connect with God more than others, that's also not quite true. All of us are contaminated, as it were. Another word for this would be implicated. We are all implicated. We are all connected. And all of us have equal access to the divine and equal limitations. So there is a very, very interesting teaching here from the ancient world, which I'll then connect to Rabbi Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory, the former chief rabbi of Great Britain. In the ancient world, there were many teachers. The founder of what we now call Rabbinic Judaism was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And his students were asking him in the ancient world, tell me about the Parah Adumah. Explain how it works, this red heifer. The red heifer. Oh, hold on a second, everybody. My daughter Ariel is here. I've got Micah and Ariel on this broadcast. How happy I am. Hi, guys. Sending you guys such big hugs. Okay, where was I? The red heifer, right. Well, the red heifer is a confusing, mysterious rule, as we've spoken about already this week. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's student said, please explain to us this mysterious rule, this chok, this rule that seems not to have any rationale, any explanation. And he says, so that you know, the dead body does not defile, and the waters of the red heifer do not purify. Rather, God says, I've made a rule, I've issued a statute, and you are not allowed to break the rules. What does this mean? It means Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's student said, explain to us, how does the red heifer work? And he said, I can't explain to you how it works. The body doesn't defile, and the red heifer doesn't purify. Those aren't things that we think change reality. But God gave us a rule, and this is the rule. What does that mean? All right, so now we're going to get into a little bit of philosophy with the help of Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, Zichrono Livracha. So There are two kinds of rules, two kinds of laws in philosophy: regulatory and constitutive. Regulatory rules are rules that are set up around a condition that already exists. So, here's an example. Um, there were employers and this is Rabbi Sachs's language. There were employers and employees before there were rules, and the rules came to adjudicate how to act appropriately in a world where people work and people have employees. Those are regulatory rules. That's what mishpatim are. Rules that regulate, rules that make sense, rules that address a reality we can see. But there is another kind of rule which is called constitutive. Constitutive rules, which in Hebrew we're calling a chok, create a practice. This is Rabbi Sachs's language. The laws of chess create the game called chess. Without the laws, there is no game. Rabbi Yochanan was saying that the laws of purity are like this. They're not like medicine because impurity, tum'ah, is not like disease. Disease existed long before there were healers, doctors, diagnoses, and cures. But purity and impurity did not exist before the laws were given. And so this is very important for us. There is a system of laws that was created, but why? The system of laws created the idea of tuma and tahara, of being able to connect with God more directly or not being able to. So why? Why is that? So this is Rabbi Sachs's answer. It's beautiful. If there's one part of this that I hope you really take in, it's this section. Rabbi Sachs says, the Torah sought to embed within Jewish consciousness an idea that may seem obvious now, but in its time was nothing less than revolutionary. Death defiles. God is to be found in life. Do not associate death with sanctity. To the contrary, contact with death debars you from contact with God. So let's pause for a second, because what I've been speaking about so far has been in the world of philosophy, in the world of thinking, in the world of Torah, but it has not been directly applied to where we are and when we are. And as authentic Jewish learners, as part of the community, part of the global Jewish community that has been feeling great pain for 278 days, we do not look at it as something that has happened. I'm wearing this bracelet which says, bring them home now. I'm wearing this necklace, as many of us are. Many of us are wearing ribbons as we walk around. It's like a Shiva ribbon that we've been wearing for 9 months plus. And it's important for us to understand the core of what we just learned and how it applies, which is to say, we are fighting for life and we do not celebrate death. We don't associate God with death. There is an argument to be made for the kind of treatment of civilians by Hamas, that they see the death of civilians as part of their strategy, their own civilians as part of their strategy. Certainly the way they treated thousands of Israeli civilians on October 7th. And so it is crucial for us to both take the beauty from this teaching, as Arlene said, if you're with a loved one as they die, that seems like an honor to be there. It is an honor. It's not, it seems. It is a deep honor. It's called chesed shalamet, an act of true love. But it is incredibly important for us to understand that just as Judy is reflecting that she changes her number tape every day with Rachel Goldberg who spoke to hundreds of North American Jewish young people just 2 days ago. My daughters were part of that group. It's important for us to remember that we do not celebrate death, and that what we are fighting for is life. And holiness is to be associated with life. Please God, we can return to a place where that is the entire focus of our energy right now. The death that surrounds the necessary fighting in Gaza right now, it's not holy, but fighting for life is. It's very hard to adjudicate this on the ground. But to know that Judaism at its core, at its most mysterious, teaches by these very rules, these mysterious chukim, these constitutive rules that create mindfulness for us. It teaches us over and over that in order to be deeply connected with God, we have to be deeply connected with life. And that anything else is the opposite, which means anything that reduces the sanctity of life reduces sanctity itself. So we are called right now to understand the Torah's conviction that life connects us with God. What we do in order to live more fully, what we do when we fight for the basic right to life, for our hostages, for each other. And if we would only be allowed by the world the life that we would bring into the world, another word for that is holiness, would be unlimited. So, said most simply, as Arlene just did, choose life, friends. Another word for that is holiness. To live in a holy way means to place the sanctity of life above everything and to fight for it. To fight for it when we must. So, friends, what I'd love to do is invite you just to take a second. On the one hand, it's broadcast 1090. What a gift it is to be together all these mornings in a row, 4.5 years, every day. And on the other hand, it's day 278 since October 7th. And we will continue fighting for life. Let's send our hearts to the east. Kol hod balevav pnima nefesh Yehudi homia ulfatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia on lo avda tikvateinu hatikva bat shnot alpayim liot am chovshi be'artzeinu eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim Liot am chovshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends. Take care.